One.
Welcome everyone to this evening's information session. Thanks so much for taking some time out to join us and hopefully learn some good facts about the Disability Property Trusts. We're basically here to give you all the information on NDIS Specialist Disability Accommodation and how that can work as an investment property. I'd just like to do a quick intro to people here this evening so that you all know who's here. Firstly, I'm Lauren. I represent Disability Housing Australia, which is disabilityhousing.com.au, and it's a site that we've built to operate as realestate.com.au for disability housing. So you're all welcome to jump on there and have a little look around. We also have Greg Deller, who's the CEO of Disability Housing Solutions. DHS, who I'll refer to throughout the night, are an organisation responsible for aggregating the disability housing projects from start to finish. So everything from finding tenants to designing the home to getting things through council, managing the builders, and actually managing the properties in the end as well as a property manager. We have a bit of information coming through from Domicom, who are a funding platform that allow us to do these properties as a fractional investment, which will explain what that means and how it works as we go through the evening. I just would like to point out that this evening, as normal, it's general advice that we're giving. If you want specific tailored financial advice, you need to see a financial planner. We're happy to refer you to someone who understands what SDAs are as well, if you'd like. We always record these sessions, so if you feel like you miss anything or you have to duck off, then that's fine. We'll send out a recording at the end of the evening, so don't worry too much. And just use the chat boxes at the end to write any questions, and I'll go through them at the end. I'd just like you to all keep on mute if you can, so that we don't get too much cross noise. It just becomes a little bit hectic in there when everyone's got their microphones on, and I know my kids are downstairs making a fair bit of noise, so I'll keep mine on mute when I need to. Otherwise, yeah, feel free to pop your questions in the chat box throughout the evening. And if you have any questions afterwards you don't feel like we're answered, just flick us an email and we'll do our best to get any information to you. So I'll hand over to Greg, who's the expert in this area. So take it away, Greg.
Oh, thanks, Lauren. Can everybody see me, or do I have to do something to my screen here?
No, you're good to go.
Okay. I'm just going to run through the basics of investing in a NDIS specialist disability house. As an investment product, it's really quite a different scene than the standard investment property market. So we're just going to run through a few of the differences here. We need a lot of people to get on board to actually invest in these properties. The government's not allowing, by not giving out the block funding anymore to different organisations to go and build the houses. The government has now capitalised the rent of the properties and is giving that capitalised rent, which is a high rent, to each participant in their NDIS plan once you qualify, and then you can apply that to your mortgages and things like that. So they're incentivising investors to get on board via the rent that they're paying per participant. That's quite an important thing to note. It's, you know, you can get 3, 4, 5 times as much rent for these properties as what you can with a standard investment property, but you've got to understand that they're quite different properties, and they are very much a, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen here, very much a new marketplace out there. So I'll just, from here. So the key market points here for there's been a recent update with the government and the NDIS as far as adopting a few changes to the policies that we've been lobbying for the last few years. So the NDIS on the 7th of February, just a couple of weeks ago this year, they actually firmed up a lot of the holes that were in the policy. So there's now, it's confirmed there's going to be no downward movement in the pricing over the next 5 years. Future benchmarking reviews will be handled by an independent panel of experts, which is really good. And that establishment of that industry advisory board is happening as well. So NDIS market update as far as the ministers are concerned, they've announced that the national government will be committed to removing the barriers from investment. So really tightened it up and made it much more appealing for investors to get on board and for banks to get on board as well, which is making a big difference already. So this is a calculator that I've just taken a screenshot of and put up here. It's actually an official calculator that's on the NDIS website. It's not too hard to find. You just put in SDA calculator into the search. This is a handy tool for anybody who wants to have a play around with it. I'm not going to go into too much detail now, but basically all the different categories here of all the different designs, whether it's a 3-bedroom shared house or a 1-bedroom apartment for one person, all of those categories and designs and different locations and different support levels as well can all be adjusted in the calculator, and you can work out the rent. So on this one here, you can see that the $174,000 here is actually for a 4-participant house in the ACT. So you can see that that's the total combined income with the NDIS amount, and then also the reasonable rent contribution that the participants have to put forward to it as well. So it's 25% of the pension, plus of the disability pension, plus the the Centrelink rental assistance money that they would get. So that totals up to around about $9,412 a year each at the moment. Plus the NDIS is throwing in $34,000 odd per year. So you can see how this adds up to a substantial rent on a 4-bedroom, 4-resident home with an on-site overnight carer. So that OOA is actually stands for on-site overnight carer. And you can play around with this calculator and do some sums and things like that, and you can see how it's actually working. So that's how it's going to go forward. The NDIS Specialist Disability Accommodation amount that people get in their plan is for people who need the housing. The housing is to actually improve their life and reduce other cares. So there's lots of different examples that we can give you on how this all works, but it is a really great economic move forward as far as the participants are concerned and the public purse is concerned. So here's a quick example of that same house. It's a $174,000 income, and we've got an example of the land here of $525,000, stamp duty, legals, and the build cost. They are very expensive houses to build because they're quite different. So a total of $1.2 odd million there. But you can see with this quick calculation here that if we run through the figures and take out the management, which is the SDA provider, specialist manager, you can't just get LJ Hooker to manage these. They've got to be a specialist disability accommodation provider to manage them. So we just put in an amount there for rates and land tax, insurance, maintenance, and in this case a Domicom fee, which is a manager's fee for an actual fee management. So we've still got a net income of $103,000. So that's a bit over 10% as a net return. That's just for the income. That's not taking into account any capital gain that the property might achieve. And there's no borrowing in this either. So obviously that return on investment will actually go up if you take a mortgage on the property. Must jump in there and say that all this is just an example. All those figures are just for examples. They're not financial advice. I'm not an accountant, a lawyer, or a financial planner. So just go and get your own advice from your own advisors if you want. We can always help out with figures and things for you there. So our process, Disability Housing Solutions, what we do is we aggregate the whole lot. So we bring the whole lot together, so that we bring investors together, we bring builders, designers, building certifiers, town planners, all of the care organisations, the support coordinators, and the people with disability and their families. So we bring them all together to actually get this to happen. So first of all, we've got to identify people who will be living in the house. So they've got to be eligible. They have to get through the NDIS plan with the SDA amount in their plan. Then we have to get a household together. So if there's 2 or 3 people that are going to live together, then that household's got to be brought together, usually through the support coordination or the coordination of the families often. So then we identify an area. The area is important because it's got to be in the area where you actually have your support networks as well. And then we go out and we do a design, we look at land, we work with the architects and designers to design up a house that is suitable for that particular group. Then we go and select this, purchase the land and engage the builder, and then once it's finished, the NDIS participants move in, which is great. So this is just a couple of photographs of examples. The big accessible bathrooms, they're all roll through with a wheelchair all the way through the house from out the front driveway right the way through out to the al fresco areas. There's no more than 5 mil difference in height all the way through. So all of the doorways and the tracks and everything are all recessed back into the slab. So it's all flat right the way through. This is an example of the flatness of the doorway. We have them all fully teched up. They're all ready for the tech, so that they've got data and PowerPoints and everything all over the place, so that these houses can be sort of teched right up with motorised blinds, motorised doors, motorised everything just about nowadays, and so you can just about control the whole house on the app or the phone. The kitchens and things are obviously an important part. So all the kitchens are actually designed for a seating and a standing position. So we put a fair bit of time and effort into the actual into the design of the kitchens and the bathrooms. So this is an example of a floor plan of that house in Canberra. So this is it's got one. This is the bedroom one is actually for the on-site carers, and they have oh no, this one's a different plan, sorry. So this has got 2 bedrooms here and 2 bathrooms. So they have an entrance there from each side from their ensuite. This one can actually have that centre wall taken out and just have one big bathroom for people who actually need to be showered on the trolleys and things. So we've done that in another situation in Mitchelton in Brisbane. We actually made this one big bathroom, and the 2 people living in these rooms actually share that bathroom. So as is the case with this one over here, this is a shared one as well, so bedroom 4. So there's 4 participants living in that shared house. Over here, bedroom 5, we've got as a on-site overnight carers room. So that's for staff and office, and they've got their own powder room, which is also accessible from the corridor for guests. This is a breakout room for you know, so for physios who come over, or for friends who come over, or there's a separate breakout room on this one. Large dining room and living area, al fresco area, all the mod cons, beautiful homes. They're just brand new, vinyl planking, timber look vinyl planking all the way through. Solar panels on the roof in a lot of them, not all, but a lot. And in some situations, we're actually putting in hydrotherapy spa pools out on the al fresco area as well. Just depends on who's going into the house. We also do unit complexes. So we've got a couple in the plans, in the planning mode, where they're in getting the architects tweaking the designs and getting them through the councils and getting the DAs approved. So these unit complexes will be in medium density areas close to train stations and buses and shopping centres and things. This one's actually going up in Cannon Hill, the pictures of this one, Cannon Hill in Brisbane there. So this one here will have 6 3-bedroom units where there'll be 2 participants in each unit and a spare room for them as a study or as a guest room or for a friend to rent. And then on the top floor, up here, there's actually a 2-bedroom carers suite and on the rooftop there's a spa. There'll be a hydrotherapy spa pool with an overhead lift and barbecue area, veggie patch and things like that. So this is the sort of thing that's coming. All right, well that's just about done it for me. You've got. I'm just going to go through who manages your SDA. Once that's finished, you've got to get the manager. We are a registered provider for ACT, New South Wales and Queensland, so we are managing the properties. So for investors, this is quite a specialist area. So it's not even investors' cup of tea. So yeah, we have to have the specialist managers in there. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can. I'll just go through some overall investment strategies here. Some people can actually afford to go and buy one of these themselves and build it and develop it, and then arrange for people to go in and do it all themselves. It is quite a task, and there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of red tape, bureaucracy to go through as well to get this to all work. There's but they are fairly expensive. You know, they can go upwards, say, from 800 through to 1.3, 1.4 million for the larger houses. Now, a lot of people just can't afford to do that as an investment product themselves. So often we're seeing groups of families and friends getting together, forming a unit trust and doing it themselves. But most people are opting to go into a managed investment scheme where we have quite a few houses being built in the one fund, and the fund actually owns the houses and everybody buys units in the fund. So you get a bit of a cross, you get your money spread across a couple of different properties. So you can select one property to put $10,000 in, or you can put $50,000 in another one, or you can put $200,000 in them if you like. But the minimum investment with one of the structures that we use with Domicom is $10,000. So it does also allow you to put money in there from your SMSF, and you can invest in those through your financial plans as well. So the other investment structure that we're setting up is actually a mixed asset fund run by a very experienced fund manager, and they're setting up a separate fund underneath them to actually raise money for these properties as well. So in the second style of strategy for funding with a fixed asset one, you actually can choose different sorts of investments as well. But if you want to just go into the NDIS SDA properties, then you can select the particular properties there as well, and that'll be another form. So you can, if you want to put more money in, or if you just want to go across a wider type of investment portfolio, well, then you can actually look at that as well. So overall, most of the scenarios out there will end up around about a 10% net yield, and that's based on those simple calculations that I showed you before. In a lot of situations, we'll actually end up with a mixture of people in a house. So we'll have some at high physical support, some at the improved livability level, and we might have some friends who rent another room in the house as well. So you can end up with a mixture, but those figures are based on having the whole house full with the high physical support category of people. And the reason why we're keen to actually build houses at that level for people with the high physical support needs is because they're in the most need at the moment, and most of them are stuck in hospitals or at home with aging parents or in aged care homes. So there's thousands and thousands and thousands across Australia that just are living a pretty miserable sort of a life, stuck in inappropriate housing. So they're the ones that we're really trying to help at the moment. But we're getting lots and lots of requests for all sorts of people and groups and things like that. So there's plenty of opportunities out there into gear now this year. It's been 2.5 years in the making, and there's been a lot of hiccups that have been ironed out now. But it's a very good investment product. It's an investment that you can be proud of. We here at Disability Housing Solutions, and I know Lauren as well, are actually investing in these ourselves. And it really gives you a great feeling, because you're actually helping someone get into a house that enables them rather than a property that disables them. And you also got a really good investment product. So, okay, that's it for me, Lauren. I don't know if we've got any questions there at all, or whether we leave that for the emails.
Yeah, I've jotted a couple down. You did cover off on some of them, through your talk, but somebody's just asked which locations we've got on at the moment. So, okay. I mean, I can answer that. At the moment, we've got quite a few in southeast Queensland, so around Brisbane, Logan, North Brisbane. and also down in the ACT, so a couple of properties on the go in Canberra.
Yeah, we've got another inquiry we've got a group coming together down Tweed area, and they're just coming in all the time. So we're actually looking at just once we've got the cohort of the household together, then we just go and look in the areas that we need to look in for those people. So it's all driven by the locations that the people want to live in.
Yeah.
And it's just, we've got, I think we've got 5 that we need to do down in Canberra and 5 up here.
Yeah.
That's
immediately. Yeah.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah.
Oh, I think just to outline, because a couple of the other questions sort of relate around where and what exactly is being built. The idea of disability property trust is to be able to put money into a fund that caters to a couple of different locations, so that you're sort of spreading your investments across a few different locations.
Yeah. So if I just go down here to so can you see that brochure there?
Yeah.
The NDIS provider. So this is one in East Brisbane. Now we're actually out looking at blocks of land at the moment, but it has to be over on the eastern side from Wynnum down to Thornland sort of area. So this is a scenario of an actual property that we've got at the moment, and it's looking for investors. So it's a 1 million, just over 1 million, 1.1 million. This one does a 12.8% yield. It's a high physical support category. It's a 600-metre flat block is what we're looking for, and the house will actually be 260 square metres internal. So this is only for 3-person plus an on-site overnight carers room.
Yeah.
You can read through there some of the features of the house. We've got extra high ceilings. We've got ceiling track hoists. We've got private courtyards for everyone, large bathrooms with en suites. They're all close. We've got to put them close to shops and community centres and with good tracks to the shops, basically.
Yeah.
So this one here is stone bench tops, wheelchair friendly right the way throughout, all air conditioned. The ones in Canberra we're doing some of them we're doing with double glazed as well, because we've got to get them up to a certain star rating. Putting the solar on the roof is a big advantage for the tenants. It lowers their electricity costs, but what it does is it gives us an opportunity to use batteries for the emergency power. So we have to have emergency power for these houses as well, and that's just a good economical way to do that. This one we're putting in a hydrotherapy spa pool because the people are 24/7 wheelchair. So having a hydrotherapy spa for them with a overhead hoist means that they can actually hire their own therapist to come to them, rather than them having to go to a specialist pool or something, which is a very expensive way to do it. So we're putting in the spa pool for this one. The spa only costs between $15,000 to $20,000, depends on which one we go for. But it really makes a huge difference for the participants living there, jumping into a spa. It helps with everything, especially if you're stuck in a wheelchair, then this is a really big bliss moment for them. So we do that it's not that we have to do it, but we do that so that it really creates a home for the people, and it also helps with the longevity of the tenant. So as an investor, you want long-term tenants. So we'll build these properties to a higher spec than standard, a higher spec than what we need to, because this is going to become a competitive market, and it will be the best house that wins in the end and the one that's located in the best area. So that's what we do. We're specialists in that area. We actually put a lot of time and effort in getting these in the right spots and the right designs for the future. So to end up with long leases, most people will be looking at a 2-year lease to start with, and then go to a 5-year option plus a 5-year plus 5-year, and they can go up to 20 years, and many of them do. With the option being for the tenant to move or not to take the option up. So the prices are locked in for the first 5-year period, and then they're reviewed to a benchmark pricing, and that is the formula for that has been firmed up, as I spoke about earlier on. So it's looking very solid for 20 years.
Good.
So that's the sort of property that we have. Like this one's available for any investors now. If anyone wants to buy themselves, that's fine. Give us a yell. We've always got options there for single buyers. And if not, the fund will be looking at this one as well. And the fund may say, we'll buy that one and put it in our fund, and then you can invest in the fund that owns that. So there's a couple of different options there.
I've just got another one. Somebody's asked about land. Are they able to sort of build with us as well? So can they build their own?
Absolutely. I get that all the time. I get people sending me an address of a block of land that they want to do one of these on. And it comes down to where it is. But I'm quite happy to actually have a quick look at an address to see whether or not it's going to tick some of the boxes, and then we go from there. But it does come down to whether or not there's a demand from tenants for that particular style of house in that particular area.
Yeah.
At the moment, there's a huge demand and no supply. So it's really a matter of designing these houses in the areas that we need to, and there's a fair bit of work involved, but we are actually got a lot of inquiries at the moment, and we're just sorting through.
Good. And what's the timeline for the current projects?
They generally take, we wish it didn't take 4 months, but it usually takes about 6 months from start to go. You can't just use any standard builder with building these properties. The builders have got to be very particular. We've got to have everything exact, otherwise they don't get enrolled. They won't get enrolled on the NDIS portal.
Yep.
And even we've had them, not ours, but other developers have had their properties rejected because one of the toilets was 10 mil too high. So it gets down to that. We've got the whole team there of experts to actually bring these together so they actually work, and that's what we do. So we actually have to use builders that we have trained, even building certifiers, town planners, the whole team. We've sat down and educated, not trained, we've educated them on how and what we've got to have these, what standards we've got to have these up to.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had another that I thought would flow into that, but it's gone out of my mind. There's just the last one here from the group. How do you find tenants and deal with vacancies? Oh, sorry, I was just going to get, Greg, can you just have a quick look through Domicom's site as well to show people where to go to view the campaign online?
Yep. No, I'll shut it down. Just a second.
So Domicom is the fractional investment platform. So you can basically go online, view our campaign on there, and they manage quite a few different types of fractional investment opportunities. But this NDIS one is meant physically to manage this particular investment project. So they're aiming to fund $10 million so that we can do about 8 homes through the fund. So if you go to Domicom, domacom.com.au, and search NDIS, if you just sort of scroll through, I think it's on the second page there, you'll find it. And you can read quite a bit of information about the campaign there and just get another perspective really. And from there you can actually put funds in. So there's 2 stages to it. As we understand it, you just put your funds in, and they don't become committed to that fund until the property is actually purchased. So until the land is purchased in the contract.
Yeah. So I just pulled it up here, Lauren. Can you see my screen, or is it on the wrong one? Here it is. Here.
You're on. Yeah, that's better. Yep.
That's better. All right. Yep. So if you just go to the Domicom, so it's domicom.com.au, and on their front page. Let's go back here. So this is the front page of Domicom. If you just simply scroll down and go view more, because we're on the second page, and this is us here, it's NDIS Specialist Disability Housing Fund. Mm-hmm. All these are all other really worthy funds as well, but please go to ours. So it just leads you to a page then. It's got a lot of more detail there. You can get a copy of the PDS for it if you're investing with your self-managed super fund and things. And then you can apply for units in that trust there as it is. So this is a fund that we've just set up and looking at a $10 million target. That's basically just as a target. We want to raise over 100 million altogether because we want to do 100 houses, and that's about how much it'll cost.
Yeah.
So as soon as there is enough in there to do one house, the unit people who've invested in it will be contacted by Domicom, and then they will look at doing setting up a sub-trust for that property. And you don't have to actually put your cash in until the fund is set up and the property is selected. And then you get a very, very detailed PDS of the sub-fund. So it's called SPDS.
SPDS, yeah. Okay.
So you can have a look at that one there. This is for several houses, some in Queensland, some in the ACT. If you don't want to invest in Queensland and you only want ACT, that's fine. You can sort all that out with the investment funds. Okay.
Okay. Yep. The last question again was just on how do you find tenants and deal with vacancies. So that really does come down to the NDIS's vacancy policy, which you know very well. Finding tenants is something that I really have a lot to do with disabilityhousing.com.au. So we use this website actively. We're getting contacts all day about people looking for housing and people putting up, lots of other different sort of disability accommodation as well. So there's a whole range of ways you can find tenants. If you would like our help with it, then that's fine. But generally, with this program, we actually do find the tenants anyway for you, so it's all taken care of.
Yeah. So we've got a real marketing strategy here that we know works. So if we've got investors who want to build a house in a particular area, we can go out and test the market. We can go out and find tenants, and we can. It's not just a matter of finding them; it's then a matter of putting everybody together, getting support coordinators, families, friends, and everyone. We hold meetings to decide what and where and when we're going to do things. So we can sometimes we have the investors. If they're individual investors, we bring them along as well. It's a bit difficult though when we have multiple investors in the one property through the fund. So
yeah. Okay, good. Well, look, I mean this evening's session was a bit of an NDIS disability properties as an investment in a nutshell. So I hope that you've got some good information out of this evening. Like I said, if anyone's got any other questions that you think of later in the evening, please click them through. The link will be on one of the emails that you've seen, and we'll send this recording out to all of you via email tomorrow. We do have a whole bunch of resources up on the web page as well, so I'll link them in. The SDA calculator, the NDIS policy, just a whole lot of things that, if you are serious about this and you want to get your head around it, then that's a great page. It's going to have everything you need to know. So feel free to Greg or myself a call or an email if you'd like any further information, or jump on Domicom site to have a look. We're happy to walk you through the process and see where to go from here.
Okay, thank you everyone.
So, thanks very much. And if you, I think, Greg, have you got your contact details up there on your last? I thought you did. Technology.
No, I haven't. I've lost it again now. So
that's right. Just go to the Disability Property Trust's webpage, which you've all seen because you've all signed up, and put an inquiry through there. We'll see you all on there. That's fine.
All right.
Well, thanks very much, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.